What's up, I'm Nick. Welcome to Nick and Alex. 今日は、最近フランスとかヨーロッパで there's been like terrorist acts. I guess they did have to do with Muslims, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have heard about it. Like in Islam, in the religion in Islam, you're not supposed to draw the Prophet Muhammad. Blasphemy is, can be revenged by violence, stuff like that.
Well, a lot of things can be supposed to be revenged.
And obviously this isn't something that, just happens with Islam. In the past, we know this has happened with Christianity and every other religion there is. Even Buddhism in Japan, where they were all fighting each other and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's something that people actually don't know abroad because they, like in Europe, Buddhism is the, religion of peace and
Yeah. でも、日本の昔の仏教をね、ちゃんと読むと結構暴力的だったね。But yeah, recently a teacher got beheaded, right? I think. Yes, it was a teacher. And then there was something else that happened in Venice, no?
Oh, Vienna.
Vienna, yeah.
There was a guy with a gun, basically, very American style.
Was that Islam
that
related?
Was,
It was. Okay, so we're not gonna get into like anti-religious or anti-Muslim or political type of conversations here, but we wanted to kind of bring the topic to Japan.
Yeah, right.
And say, what do you think about foreign religions in Japan?
Yeah.
日本に海外の宗教はあるべきか、あるべきではないか。Yeah. And this is a pretty touchy subject, so we have to be, kind of 真ん中の道で話すんですけど、I can say that, and I think there are problems in France, and Europe. I don't want to get too specific, but I mean, maybe the religion we were just talking about is. But from my experience in Japan, and there's an Islamic mosque close to me, no problems at all. And I don't know why it's different.
Yeah, it's interesting that actually it feels like when foreigners come to Japan, whatever foreigners there are, they kind of calm down and become more,
Yeah, I'd say one reason why it's a little bit different is because parts of France are completely like, it's like a ghetto. And when I say ghetto, I don't mean it as like it's a poor area. I mean, it's a concentrated area of one type of person. Like there's Jewish areas of New York and stuff like that. And I mean, there's not really, two concentrated areas in Japan.
Well,
Wouldn't you say so?
I guess there are as many people that belong to exactly the same, confession or who live like in Tokyo and are foreigners and are, doing the same things, not just in church, but sort of seikatsuteki.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just about the numbers or if that's...
Well, also the amount of like, foreigners in general is so much lower in Japan than it is in...
Also, I can imagine, having like an isolated foreigners area in Tokyo, but that would be...
Roppongi or like Shinokubo or something like that, right? Yeah.
No, actually, you know what? Back in the Meiji era, they actually were... Like when they just started letting foreigners in, they actually had like a Gaikokujin Machi. It had like rivers and basically just had foreigners and Japanese people didn't really go there.
Hot dog stand とか popcorn の店とかいっぱいあった。
どうかな?
Yeah. But then also even before that, like when 鎖国の時もそのオランダ人たちの出島とかそういうオランダ人しかね。But yeah, I mean, wasn't the French Prime Minister like criticized or something?
Oh, the president. So basically he said that we in France are for freedom of speech, freedom of expression and everything, and he understands that it hurts the feelings of Muslim people when they see a funny picture or something like that.
Yeah.
But there is no justification for, physical violence.
There really is no justification
Yeah,
for physical
I completely
violence.
agree with him there, and he was criticized by
Muslims. Yeah. I mean, if that's the rule, then it should be like in a Muslim country or something like that. You know what I mean? Where you have your own laws or something like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that, and it's not really just about religion, but when people, especially in big groups, kind of migrate to a different country and then they want to have their own rules there. Like, well, why do you go? And I always say that about, for example, even Russians. I'm like, well, why do you go to a different country? And they're like, well, back in Russia we do this, I'm going to do the same thing. Well, why did you move? Like,
Well, the other thing is, I think Japan. One reason why there's not problems in Japan with like lots of foreigners with different ideologies or religions is that the Japanese government might be a little bit stricter about like what you can do and what you can't do. No.
Well, I guess in a way they're like less.
Well, less welcoming, maybe.
Yeah, but in a good... Well,
I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Yeah.
I feel like, because they kind of pressure you into the assimilating more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I almost, like, this is a terrible opinion, and I don't know if I can even say this, but I almost feel like foreigners that come to Japan should be, if you... I don't know what the criteria would be, but I think you should be forced to learn Japanese to a certain extent, and then Japanese culture. もう日本に来る外人はもう強制的に日本語を勉強しなきゃいけないと日本の文化を勉強 しなきゃいけない制度はあった方がいいかもしれないと思います。
Yeah, it depends on, I guess, a lot, how you're going to enforce that, what sort of, how long you're supposed to stay. And
Yeah. Like, say you're only going to stay for like a year or 2 years or something, I think it's like a different thing. But if you want to stay in the long run, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a really subjective, like, how much Japanese do you need to know? How much do you need to know about the culture and stuff like that?
Yeah, then I guess, if you don't speak the language, you are the one who's suffering. So maybe, that's your choice.
Yeah, I mean...
But if you don't know the culture and, like, the reigi, then other people are suffering. So I would actually say, culture is more important than the language here.
Yeah, but I mean, the culture is the language here, though. I don't think you can understand Japanese culture without being fluent in Japanese.
Yeah, but whether you understand it or not, it's secondary to whether you cause, nuisance to other people. And obviously, you want people to understand it.
Yeah, that's true.
As the government, you're concerned about, the well-being of your Japanese nationals. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. I guess that's true.
I mean, it's a very cynical view, and obviously, I wouldn't want to just. Learn the rules, I don't understand where they're coming from, but that's sort of like a kojintekini whether you want to do it or not.
I mean, the easy answer to the question of this video is, do you think foreign religions and such should be more...
haven't really touched on religion
Obviously,
yet.
no. I don't think you should force,
it's... I think you should never force your own culture and, any aspect of your culture on a different country.
No, I mean, I know, I'm saying that, but do you think that the Japanese government should be able to ban...
ban... I always have a problem with banning because it's...
Yeah. Whenever it's something that's forced, then things kind of get out of hand.
Yeah, but I don't think you should encourage it too much.
You mean lots of different religion?
I mean, for example, the way a lot of European countries treat it is like, if you belong to this group, then you're gonna be, excused for anything. We are gonna give you everything. We're gonna give you money, support, do anything,
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that approach.
It's really also difficult when you read about stuff like that in France too, because you think, there's definitely, and I'm sure there is definitely a problem with Islam interacting with Western culture. Mm-hmm. But then you meet somebody who's Muslim, whoa, this dude's cool. This is not at all what I read about in the news.
Again, in every group there are the people that we actually hear about are the craziest people.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's a hard one, man. Like, one cool thing about Japan is it's pretty, I guess, homogeneous, right? Yeah. Is that the right word? I always forget. So. I think that is the right word.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people would argue that it's not, especially like people in academia would argue that it's not homogeneous, but overall...
the way it feels like, the everyday life feels, I think it's pretty homogeneous.
Well, I mean, because it's mostly Japanese people, right?
Yeah, and sort of Japanese yarikata.
Yeah, and also there's something about Japanese culture where you don't really impose stuff on other people, like culture-wise. So even... really?
You mean Japanese people don't impose it on you?
Yeah. Like, especially religious-wise.
Oh, religious-wise, no. They don't even impose it on
you can coexist a lot easier almost in Japan.
Yeah, well, because they don't really, like, their relationship with religion is very fluid in a way. It's just kind
Yeah. It's a little bit less devoted,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
less dogmatic. Maybe.
Yeah, less dogmatic. Yeah.
But like I had an experience of actually going to a Russian church in Tokyo.
Oh, really?
A long time ago, but I have to say I did not have a good experience. And
Really?
I was like, I am so glad that this is just like one spot and I will never go there again. And
Well, I can personally say myself, and I'm アメリカの時でも無宗教だったし、家族も無宗教なんですけど、I always identified more with like say like a Shinto shrine or like a temple on a mountain where there's like they'll decorate the trees with like what like that just always felt more divine to me and like do you understand what,
there's a lot of kind of unnecessary, I don't know how to call this, decorations like the gold and whatnot.
what do you talking
well
about?
if you go to a Western church,
well I mean they're beautiful too in a different way, but like for me to be like comfortable wise I always just was like well maybe it's also like an exotic thing.
Yeah, probably.
But even now, would it still be an exotic thing? I've been here long enough for it to not be exotic anymore. But
maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I don't think it is exotic anymore. Because when I go to Europe and go to churches there, I'm like, whoa, this isn't. But it's still not the same type of comfort I feel like when there's like a 1,000-year tree or whatever, 400-year-old tree.
There is a different philosophy. It's kind of like serene and you're one with nature type.
Yeah.
In Europe, it's always like really dark.
Yes, it's
like
very dark.
Yeah.
You're
kind of like small, and there is apparently this massive god somewhere there, and you're like, oh, I'm nothing.
But people do feel that same comfort that like we feel comfort with.
Yeah, but I don't know how. Like, I honestly don't know if many people do feel comfort in
Yeah, well, I guess we can't even answer the question to today's.
Well, just personally, I suppose I'd say I wouldn't encourage it.
You mean different types of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't ban them either, but it's just not something that I personally would argue.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I mean, you want to like Tokyo safety is also because it's just not like a mixing pot. I mean, it kind of is in some ways, but it's not really like, you know what I mean? Like if you go to America or like, Europe or something like Holland, it's just like people from everywhere, different ideologies, different religions. Yeah, I think it's important for the people that come to Japan to want to make a conscious effort to understand what kind of country Japan is.
Yeah. Well, which is, again,
and respect the rules.
I think something you should do in any country if you decide to move there.
Like, there's rules in Japan that I think are stupid, but I still follow them, and I wouldn't follow them in America.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Same.
Yeah.
But,
そんなもんか.
Yes.
Oh, okay. See you next time. Bye.